I want to thank everybody for being here for a very important announcement. Before I get to it, I want to thank Speaker Burrows for being here and hosting this and for being such an outstanding Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives. I want to thank also Representative Tepper. We're here with Sheriff Rowe, with District Attorney Stanek. We have many other sheriffs who gather with us here today, as well as other district attorneys, as well as other law enforcement, to talk about a very important law enforcement issue. A law enforcement issue that also intersects with our schools. I want to thank those from our local school districts. When I say local, I'm talking about there are ISDs represented here today from across the entire area. I want to thank the local Lubbock Victim Services Organization, because what they do is vital to assist survivors in our community here as well as across the state. Most importantly, I want to thank a family who you will hear from, who are survivors, who are the true catalyst behind changing law in the state of Texas. Let me first say this. Texas is home to some of the most exemplary educators in the entire country. Our outstanding teachers are putting Texas on the pathway to ranking #1 in educating our kids. At the same time, however, there are too many rogue teachers preying upon children in our schools. Last year, there were more than 1,600 allegations of inappropriate relationships between educators and students. That's almost triple the number from just the year before. Now, to be clear, Texas has stepped up and repeatedly addressed these challenges. I signed laws that crack down on inappropriate teacher-student relationships, laws that forced offenders to lose their teaching certificate and lose their pension, laws that punish administrators, superintendents, and principals who turn a blind eye to the issue, laws that prevent improper electronic communication between school employees and students, laws that impose mandatory timelines for reporting inappropriate relationships to the state of Texas. We created a do not hire registry, and we increased criminal penalties for violations of these laws. Well, with literally thousands of violations in just the past 2 years, clearly the message has not been received to stop assaulting students in our schools. I want zero victimization by inappropriate teacher-student relationships. I want a law that will accomplish that mission. A new law that requires a mandatory minimum of 10 years behind bars of any educator who has inappropriate relations with a student. A law that prohibits community supervision and deferred adjudication instead of jail time. A law that bans parole and mandatory supervision before at least 10 years being served. A mandate that they register as a sex offender. In the past, some teachers have had sex with students and got only probation. Not anymore in Texas. In Lubbock County, a former Lubbock teacher was sentenced to 10 years behind bars for improper relations between an educator and a student. Right now, that is the exception in Texas. I want that to become the rule in our state. My legislation ensures that predators statewide are prosecuted and jailed. Additionally, having had the opportunity to visit with one of the survivors, we take away from here today more strategies to add to our laws. The point was made very clearly that punishment is needed. Increased punishment is essential to both send the message as well as to punish the criminal. However, as the survivor articulated, there's more that we can and that we must do to prevent crimes like this from occurring in the first place. One of those suggestions was to work to identify the warning signs that truly only the students would be able to articulate themselves, and to be able to ensure that all educators are educated themselves about those warning signs. We learn, or let's say we were reminded, what we all knew anyway, and that is our children in schools, they know far more about what is really taking place on the ground in reality than what parents or even educators know. We as legislators, we as adults, need to do a better job of listening to our children in our schools and hear from them about what they are seeing, what they're hearing, what they are facing. We want to help students feel safe and more comfortable in reporting those warning signs. We will add that to our legislative agenda in addition to ensuring we keep these dangerous criminals behind bars. We will protect our students, and we will lock up their predators. We will keep Texas classrooms a safe space for children to learn, to grow, and to succeed. Now I want to pass it off to Sheriff Kelly Rowe.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for, especially for making the trip up to roll out this new policy. Obviously, with all the law enforcement you had in the room with you today, we're all in full support of you in your efforts to try to toughen these things up. So we want to partner in every way we can to ensure that these survivors, their families, and most importantly, the bad guys are taken care of in the necessary way. So again, on behalf of everybody that was here today, particularly law enforcement, thank you for making the trip and coming out to West Texas to do this.
Thank you for all you do. And now District Attorney Sunshine Stanton.
In the DA's office, we often talk about the extra layer of protection that certain members of our society not only deserve but demand. The elderly population, those with diminished mental capacity, and the very youngest. Those who are not able to protect themselves, we must all stand up for, and that is why we're here today. As parents, we send our children off to school vulnerable and naive. We expect that they will be taken care of, thrive, be nourished, and educated. We do not expect that they will experience abuse at the hands of an educator that we leave them with. That is why these laws must be strong and send a message. There must be a heavy hammer for us to throw down when our children are violated in this community and across the state of Texas. As an office, we vow to work with the legislature to be creative in solutions, to support law enforcement agencies who invest, and together we will prosecute those who choose to abuse our children. It is work we are proud to shoulder at the Lubbock County DA's office. And I want to personally thank Governor Abbott for continuing this conversation here today in Lubbock.
Thank you, and thank you for being tough on these criminals. Now I want to have Caitlin Beaver visit with you.
Governor, I just want to say thank you so much again for also taking the time to listen to what a survivor's story is. And I appreciate law enforcement and everybody that attended today. It is very much appreciated, and it's good on a heart to hear that people are still caring and making movements to make sure that this doesn't happen again. What we need to take from this is just a solid, loving understanding that it takes a community to see what kind of laws need to be set in stone to protect our children. And while we have to set a tone, why we need to be strong, and that's why we create such good leaders to take care of our children, because at the end of the day, this is going to be my future, and I am so proud of the impact that she has set in today, and I'm walking in her shadows as we speak. But I'm very much appreciative of what you're doing for this community, what you're doing for these children, because at the end of the day, that is always going to be our future. And I think that this will make the best impact and set the right tone for where we need to be as Texans.
Thank you very much. Now I want you to hear from a survivor of one of these crimes.
I can't change what happened to me, and for a long time I wished I could. But I've learned that healing doesn't mean pretending the pain never happens. It means deciding what you're going to do with it. What happened to me should have never happened, but if my story can help another child be seen sooner or help recognize the warning signs, then I'm going to use my voice to do that. I can't go back and protect the little girl I was then, but maybe what we're doing today can protect the next one. Thank you, Governor.
That's Kyrie, and I want to thank her for her courage to be able to be here today, her courage to provide advice to the governor about ways in which we can make our laws tougher and better, and the necessity for doing so. Also, both Caitlin and Kyrie, to you both, when we had the chance to visit earlier, you articulated in a way your own personal response to what's happened in a way in which I've dealt with myself. And my motto fits your motto, and that is our lives are not defined by the ways in which we're challenged, but we will define our lives by how we respond to those challenges. Both of you are living up to that motto yourselves, and you're defining your future, as well as the future of the state of Texas, by the way that you two are responding to the challenge that you faced, and in doing so, helping Texas as a state better respond to this challenge. Now, the Texas Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows.
Thank you, Governor. For many families across the state of Texas, including my own, tonight is the night before school starts, tomorrow. As we drop our children off, we hope they have a better school year. We hope that they do so much more and they're gifted and they get to grow. It should not be a place of fear that any child goes to where somebody could actually become a predator and prey upon them. I want to thank our governor. He has set a clear mission to make Texas education great, and he has led on making sure it's funding and academic rigor in all sorts of things, but also saying that we have a growing problem with these types of situations. Saying things that we don't always want to talk about is the first step. And Governor, the legislature, and the House look forward to partnering with you next session to making sure these initiatives, which are all very well thought through, are going to be implemented. But I also want to speak to the survivors, all of them, some here today. We hear you. We see you. This should not have happened, and we must do better. You will see, while we have taken some action, we will take much more, and out of the darkness and the bad things that have happened, positive change will happen to make sure that nobody else, if we can help it, suffers what has happened to you. And to our superintendents and educators behind us, we look forward to working with you. We know that you've asked for more training and more assistance so that you can help prevent this as well, and we look forward to partnering with you to make sure that your voices and concerns are heard so that we can all as a community come together and stop these from happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. We'll take a few questions.
Governor Brittany Crittenden with DCBD. You mentioned that one case here. Other than that, why else announce this initiative here in Lubbock, Texas?
So Lubbock established what the standards should be, and I wanted to make sure they were recognized for being tough on this issue, but also to show other jurisdictions across the state not only what is expected, but what can be achieved. And this is now going to be what Lubbock and the prosecutors were able to achieve here should be the baseline standard for law in the state of Texas, and every prosecutor in the state must get a mandatory minimum of 10 years behind bars for any criminal who assaults a student at school.
Jen Phillips with KMAC News. Thanks for being here, especially since I know yesterday you were at your mansion talking with the Classroom Commission. One of the 3 priorities that you laid out was attracting and retaining good teachers. Well, a lot of these first-time offenders, it happens in the school. They don't have a history, but they're around kids. So how on earth do we find people that we can send our kids off to that are safe?
Well, first of all, understand the sheer numbers, and that is 99% of the teachers are very safe teachers, and they're focused on making sure that students get a great education, and we are, as a state, are focused on making sure the education we provide to our students is going to be the best in the United States of America. At the same time, we also talked earlier about the necessity of setting a hierarchy of priorities for educators as well as everybody else. Safety comes first. You can't educate a child who is in harm's way. And so every school, as they embark upon their school year, whether it be tomorrow, next week, or whenever, every school in the state of Texas must make clear to every educator, to every administrator, that throughout the entire school year, the safety of those children is the paramount duty they have. And then with that, with their safety being ensured, you go about the process of making sure they master reading and math and the other skills that will make Texas #1 in educating our children.
Grace Gates with KLBK. Governor, and Speaker Burrows may also be able to answer this question, but the Speaker has put sovereign immunity on his list of interim charges. There's been frustration expressed with the ability to hold schools accountable for hiring repeat offenders because of sovereign immunity laws. Is there any kind of work being done to hold schools accountable, and how much of this do you think is on the schools?
So he and I have not yet had a chance to visit about this, but he and I have had a chance to visit about the larger picture. And I too am looking at some sovereign immunity based issues even broader than just education. Our responsibility as state leaders is to make sure there is accountability at all levels of government, whether it be in making our kids safe or our communities safe. And if we have to put sovereign immunity as one of the items on the table, we'll do what we have to do to ensure we're achieving the ultimate in making our community safe.
Last session, we did chip away and open up some ability to actually do these types of things, realizing that, you know, there are people out there that need this. And of course, sovereign immunity is also not only about monetizing relief, but it's also about gathering information and basically making sure that information is out there and available to people such as the press and others. And so you'll notice that you have FOIA on the agenda, you have Texas Open Meetings Act on the agenda, both being heard, and Texas sovereign immunity. I think it all works together because, you know, government is by the people and for the people, and they have to be involved in it.
One final question?
Go.
Just, Gabriel Lawrence with the Lubbock Avalanche Journal. I was just was wondering if you could kind of expand on the prevention aspect of this. How, you know, we have all these laws that kind of address when something does happen. What are some of the, I guess, ideas of preventing these?
So the best thing we can do is to have 0 children assaulted, and the way to do that is through better prevention. And there's several things we can do to achieve better prevention. One is to set the tone, and the tone is that the safety of these children comes first. Every educator that goes into a school must know that their top priority is the safety of kids, whether it be those who may commit the crime or those who may have information about a crime. They all have to prioritize public safety. Second, we need to set up better systems where we're going to be able to get information from children themselves about actions that adults may be taking that a child understands full well that they may be compromised, so that administrators or the Texas Education Agency will be able to act upon. Additionally, we need to make sure that the TEA is very responsive to information that's provided by local ISDs about potential crimes that may have taken place. And so there's a lot of action that could be taken on to prevent these crimes from occurring in the first place.
May I add one thing?
Go ahead.
And Gabe, from our office's perspective, prevention goes hand in hand with deterrence. And you hear us talk about that in the courtrooms all of the time. And so with the governor proposing a higher minimum for this particular offense, that's surely a deterrence factor in the schools.
All right.
Governor, can I ask a quick
Sure.
question on this proposal? Is this just once there's been a jury trial and conviction, then that's the minimum sentence?
Well, and I'll let the DA talk in more detail about this, but whether it's a jury trial or not, there could be a plea deal that's done. But whatever the outcome, if there is an educator that either sexually assaults or has an inappropriate relationship with a student, the law should be in Texas that the minimum incarceration they get is 10 years behind bars. No more probation, not 2 years, not 5 years, but 10 years. And exactly as the DA said, listen, when any educator knows, listen, if I send this text, if I take this action, I may wind up behind bars for 10 years with no way out. The goal is to make sure that those educators think twice before they do anything that would compromise a student, and they will just think, I'm not even going to come close to doing anything wrong.
Is there anything on the plea deal aspect? Because, I mean, a plea deal is taking the Senate race by storm, so I want to ask about, is there anything being done on that with this law?
Well, so to be clear, DAs have the ability to enter into plea deals all the time. Let's just say hypothetically, that the punishment phase for any educator that does this is 10 years to life in prison. The educator, knowing they may get 10 years, knowing they may get life in prison, they may go to the DA and say, hey, listen, we'll take 10 years today. We'll take 15 years today, as opposed to life. And again, I don't want to speak for the DA, but I think that there would be a number of years where the DA may say, okay, we'll take a plea deal for something less than life.
In Lubbock County, we follow the laws as they are written in the books. And so if a defendant is convicted either by a plea offer or a trial or a bench trial or a jury, we will be bound by the punishment range that is set by the legislature. So that's probably the best way I can explain it.
So it means at a minimum, at a bare minimum, they're going to be spending 10 years behind bars.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.